fuck, P. Diddy? It's only Monday. The back of my Dracula says I can't join your party.
Hold up. Let me do that.
Hold up, wait a minute. Oh, let me try it one more time.
Now about
Connection
Minnesota's
failed.
back end. I do know this. I know that SC is for real. They're 12th in the country in passing yards. They average over 300 plus per game. Miller Moss will be maybe the best quarterback that Minnesota sees all season. And they have a really dynamic core of wide receivers. Jacoby Lane, Zachariah Branch, who it feels like he's just waiting to break out at some point. Kyron
47
Hudson.
right now, so
They got length on the outside. They have speed on the outside. They have guys that can play inside and out, so they're going to get their matchups. You look at Minnesota, too, they got to get healthy. Their top cornerback, Justin Wally, has missed 2 straight with an undisclosed leg injury. So if he's back, that could help their prospects against a super deep and talented receiver core. Question 2, can USC's improved defense continue to play at a high level? Under first-year defensive coordinator D'Anton Lynn, they're 78th right now against the run, which is not great, but let's keep in mind, they did play Michigan. We know that's a pound you outfit that can really, really emphasize the line of scrimmage. They're 15th in pass defense. Remember, they played LSU. It's a pretty good group throwing the football. And they are 30th in scoring defense, giving up 17 points per game. Minnesota's offense, by the way, they're not without star power. Darius Taylor's a dude now. 200-yard rushing game last year, but last week he caught 10 passes against Michigan. He's one of 2 FBS players in the last 25 years to have both a 200-yard rushing game and a 10-reception game within the first 10 games of his career. So remember that name, Darius Taylor. All points bulletin on him if you are USC's defense. Trends in the game. USC is 0-8 against the spread on the road in the past 8 contests after beating a conference opponent. That's an interesting one. Minnesota is 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 as a home underdog. It's tied for the second longest active streak in the FBS. They're tied with Rutgers, by the way. Power 14 with Rutgers. So, I will take the Trojans, and I'll take them comfortably. I'm not sold right now on Minnesota's defense. I think SC will be able to create some advantages outside and will win those one-on-one matchups. Moving on to the nightcap here. ACC After Dark. These things are just, why wouldn't it be this? I mean, just an old school ACC slugfest. And Cal, congratulations. You are hosting College Game Day for the first time in school history. Now the list, very, very small, among the Power 4 schools that have never hosted the show. Illinois, Maryland, Rutgers. Rutgers, though, it's possible, I don't know when, Rutgers got to keep winning, but it's possible, maybe this year, SMU, who just got to the Power 5, does that really count? Syracuse and Virginia. Those are the only schools to never host the show. Question 1, can Cal's defense contain Cam Ward in Miami? Cal has allowed 14 points or fewer in all of its games this year. It's one of 4 FBS teams to do so. Texas, Ohio State, and Army. Yes, pretty good, though. Cal has played some decent competition, and their defense has been up to the task. Cam Ward is on another level. 300 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns in all 5 games this year. He leads the FBS in touchdowns with 18. He's second in total QBR at nearly 93. And Miami has scored 247 points this season. That's the most of any team in the FBS. 49.4 points per game is second only behind Tennessee at 54. Remember, they've played 5 games. Tennessee's played 4, so they are higher in the points per game, but nobody has scored more points. I really like this offense. Cam Ward, I thought, got a little greedy last week. Tried to force a couple plays. Didn't see the field as well as he normally does. I would expect a bounce-back performance from him here. And then question number 2, will Cal continue to turn people over? They have 10 picks this year. It's the most in the FBS. Tied for the most by an ACC team through 4 games in the last 20 years. It includes 4 by Noel Williams tied for the most in the FBS with UNLV's Jalen Catalon, who has to be 25 years old by now. Jalen Catalon started his career at Arkansas, to Texas, now at UNLV. He's got 4 picks alongside Noel Williams. But 2 picks against Miami would tie Cal with 2008 North Carolina and 2005 Georgia Tech for the most interceptions through 5 games in the last 20 years. Question 3, can Cal protect Fernando Mendoza? That's their quarterback. He was sacked 6 times against San Diego State, 7 times against Florida State. He's the only ACC quarterback in the last 20 years to be sacked 6 times in 3 straight games. Not good. Miami's defense has 18 sacks this year. That's the second most in the FBS. Couple trends in the game. Cal, 7 straight games have gone under the total. Miami, 8 straight games have gone over the total. So if that doesn't tell you anything, you'll be able to tell who's controlling the game, right? If Cal, and it's feeling low scoring, it's feeling methodical, then Cal's having it their way. If it's up-tempo and it becomes a score-a-thon / a track meet, Miami's having it their way. Cal is, however, 13-5 against the spread as a home underdog since 2017. It's the second best among Power 4 teams with a minimum of 10 games played. I'll take Miami, but I'll take the points. I think the points seems like a lot. Just saying, seems like a lot. Then a couple more here. A couple top 5 teams that are at home, but it's a test, especially for Ohio State. It might be the first real test of the year. Look, is Iowa's offense actually better? No, I don't know at this point, but it doesn't seem like Iowa can play and compete in a big game without having a big boost offensively. Now, here's the good news. If you look at what they've been this year, granted, weak schedule up to this point, Caleb Johnson has been pretty good. Iowa's rushing attack has turned out 200-plus yards in each of their first 4 games. That's a first for Iowa since 2013. They're averaging over 250 yards per game on the ground. That's second in the Big Ten and 10th nationally. So it's easy to poke fun at Iowa and say, well, you know, the drive to 325. I hear people say that all the time. First of all, I don't know if that's still in the contract here, but I can tell you this. At least they're showing life on that side of the ball. Because for a long time, there wasn't even that. You couldn't even run the ball with efficiency, but that group appears to be better. Of course, huge test this week because Ohio State is going to completely sell it against the run. Because if you put the game on Kate McNamara's shoulders, you can't feel very confident if you are an Iowa fan. You look at the talent, a significant edge for the Buckeyes. I think Ohio State wins this one and wins this one big. Auburn is on the road at Georgia. Georgia is a healthy favorite of about 24 points. This game's 3:30 Eastern time on ABC. I'll be on the call alongside Sean McDonough and Molly McGrath. A couple of things I'm looking at for this. Hey, what is going on with Carson Beck? All right, well, yeah. Statistically speaking, really impressive last week, but he had 4 turnovers. He also got called for an intentional grounding in his own end zone that resulted in safety. Right now, you look at how he played last week, and it's kind of a microcosm of his season. There have been really good moments. There have also been some moments where you're kind of left shaking your head. 1 for 13 on throws that traveled 15-plus yards in the first 3 quarters last week. 1 for 13 on throws that traveled 15-plus. Now, he had some drops. It wasn't all on him, but in the fourth quarter, he was 5 of 10. They also need to be better on third downs, and that starts with Carson Beck. Among the 130 qualified FBS quarterbacks, he's 44% completion. That's 122nd. On the other side, Peyton Thorne, he ran well against Georgia last year.
Reaching on 5
yards on 1 rush by itself, ran 92 in the game. Second most in the game in his career. He had 120-plus against Samford, an FCS school, back in 23. I do think the passing game, though, is much better than they've been in the past. Peyton Thorne has got to be smart, though, with the football. SEC were 6 interceptions this year. 4 came in the loss against Cal. And Auburn, as a team, has committed 15 turnovers this season. That's the second most in the FBS behind East Carolina. So it's going to be fascinating. Look forward to being there on the call for the Deep South's oldest rivalry there in Athens at 3:30 on ABC. A lot more games to look forward to. Michigan State is on the road at Oregon. It's probably top to bottom the most talented team that Oregon has played just yet.
Bro, you can't even see. I can't see you. You cannot see me. That is bullshit.
Michigan State, I think, is a lot like Oregon State, frankly. They have a history of being able to kind of punch above their weight. So this is one I'd be a little bit careful with. Just saying. I do think Michigan State's got a lot of warts. They're not great along the O-line. They turn it over like crazy, but hey, at least there's some familiarity with the head coaches of Michigan State and having been to Eugene before. Syracuse at UNLV. Now, I'm leaning Cuse right now here, by the way. Kyle McCord's been on fire, all right? Really been on fire. Now, UNLV's ranked. Everyone's talking about the Matthew Sluka situation. Well, in comes Hajj Malik Williams. Did an amazing job. Crushed Fresno State. But I think this is by far the best team they've played so far. Cuse, I just have a slight lean there. I don't know why. I just have this strange feeling about the orange in that matchup. SMU is at Louisville.
Yeah, we won.
Now the Mustangs have put up some pretty impressive numbers. Kevin Jennings, since he's been inserted as a quarterback, they've been solid, scored a bunch of points. But here's the problem. Against both TCU and against Florida State, they both outgained them. SMU's kind of getting by the hair of their chinny chin chin. They are +7 in turnover differential, which allowed SMU to blow out both TCU and Florida State. Now, Louisville just went through a game where they had something that kind of felt similar. Yeah, they outgained Notre Dame by $154 last week, but they committed 3 turnovers. All 3 their first of the season. So it resulted in a pretty disappointing performance. I'll take Louisville in a big bounce-back performance here against SMU. Pitt continues to stay undefeated. Granted, been one of the crazier teams to follow this year after the comeback wins against Cincinnati and West Virginia. Certainly a resilient group. Now they're going North Carolina, who's licking their wounds. They're up 20 before they collapsed against Duke. And to lose that game the way they lost that game had to have been really disappointing. Their defense, they gave up 70 a couple weeks ago. Not ideal. They did bounce back in a nice way. I'm kind of leaning North Carolina here. Don't feel great about it. Kind of leaning that direction. They feel like they're due. Meanwhile, Pitt feels like they've maybe been playing with a little bit of fire these first few weeks. West Virginia at Oklahoma State. Which defense will show up? West Virginia's defense has been pretty rough. They've allowed nearly 9 yards per attempt and about 4.5 yards per carry. They've been bailed out by a solid third down defense, but it really hasn't been very good. You look at the Pokes, they're 128th in total defense, but have 10 takeaways. So, yeah, you can find the bright spots in each. Third down defense for West Virginia, takeaways for Oklahoma State. But there's just something right now that I just can't quite figure out about Oklahoma State. Like, why can't they run the ball? They're 131st in rushing rate. It's just, it doesn't make sense. It feels like they're due. I'll take the Pokes. I think they get back on track. Remind everybody that they're still a team that is a proud program. UCF at Florida. This game will be on SEC Network. Neither defense has been very good. If you look at what we saw from the Gators, yes, 122nd in total defense, not great. They're 103rd against the pass, not great. But more teams are running it against Florida than I can ever remember seeing teams run against Florida. And we know what UCF is. They want to pound the ball with R.J. Harvey. They want to pound the ball with P.J. Jefferson. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair, but I lean Gators. I think they have more talent. I think this is one after the bye where they come out and they play really well, but it does have a little bit of a look-ahead concern. Man, Florida can't look ahead to anybody right now. Let's be real. Duke at Georgia Tech. Duke, first 5-0 start since 1994. They need one more win to clinch a bowl game, which would be pretty dang impressive. And last week's pretty amazing that they were able to ride Star Thomas 211 yards to come back against North Carolina. I think it comes to an end, though. Georgia Tech gets the win at home against Duke. And then Texas Tech at Arizona, a little Big 12 after dark. On paper, it's a really tough matchup for Arizona. Arizona had a great win last week, but Texas Tech is 15th in offensive rush and 17th in defensive drop back EPA per play. Meanwhile, Arizona's 15th in offensive drop back and 49th in defensive rush EPA per play. So put simply, you kind of look at it, Joey McGuire, I would expect them to play pretty well, even though they haven't been very good on the road. They're just 3-9 in his tenure on the road away from Lubbock, which is something that would be super concerning. Brent Brennan, on the other hand, 10-2 in his last 12 home games at San Jose State. So, what goes here? I'm taking the Red Raiders. I think they get it done on the road at Arizona. As Arizona flying high, beats Utah last week. Texas Tech
You're on
comes in
stairs.
and takes care of business behind a really powerful
I
rushing
think I
attack.
hit you
A couple
and
giant
left, though,
killers
I'm
to
not
give
gonna
you.
lie.
Be careful
Yeah.
laying the points anywhere this week. I'm just telling you, this feels like it could be a chaotic week. Look on paper, look at the matchups, you're thinking, yeah, I don't know. Maybe this will be a week where I'm not as dialed in. Those are the weeks where the surprises happen, especially as fatigue sets in, especially as guys start reading their press clippings, and especially as big conference matchups start to come to the fruition. These teams know each other a little better than most. So just be careful laying the points this week. Arkansas against Tennessee. Be careful if you're the Vols. I'm not picking Arkansas to win. I already told you I'm taking Tennessee. But I wouldn't want to mess around with Arkansas. You catch them on the wrong night. I've done a game there in Fayetteville before when Texas came to town. Texas wasn't as good as Tennessee. They got run out of the gym. Be careful. Arkansas is going to be bouncing off the walls for that one. It's a huge opportunity for Sam Pittman. Florida against UCF. UCF's favored in this game. Can I call Florida a giant killer when playing against UCF? I'm going to. Texas Tech at Arizona. I think the Raiders match up really, really well. And then finally, Rutgers on the road at Nebraska. Nebraska riding high, feeling great about what they have. Be careful with Rutgers. Rutgers is physical. They can shrink the game. They can disrupt your offensive rhythm. And I think that one's going to be super, super low scoring. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate you being with us. As always, on Thursdays, check out the games this weekend. It's going to be awesome. Like, rate, and subscribe to the show wherever you get your show. We appreciate you.
I also have cap cans, so watch out for those.
All right.
Wait, reverse friendly fire. How did you get reverse friendly? Oh, did you shoot a cap? You might have shot a cap can. How? Oh my god, I shot him in the fucking head.
Down to one friendly. The diffuser has been recovered.
Who just clumps on play this weekend, Mike?
Has been secured. The diffuser is no longer in your possession. All friendlies have been eliminated.
They're not upstairs.
Basement.
seconds to go. 5 seconds to insertion. You must locate and defuse a bomb. Bomb has been located.
Reloading!
Bro, there's no fucking way, really?
Oh. I just got in! Oh my god.
We need to locate a bomb. Your drone has found a bomb. Ten seconds. 5 seconds to insertion. Proceed to bomb's location.
Brought in some transfers up front. Jackson Woodard, the linebacker, wears number 7. He's been the heart and soul of this defense, but it's the secondary that seems to be striking the road.
Sam Oliver, a lot better this year. Jalen Catalong, the transfer from Texas. Catalong's brought a lot of juice to that backside. This is a much improved defense under Barry Odom and Mike Sheeran, the coordinator. And these are defensive coaches. That's what Barry Odom's bread and butter philosophy is.
This was set here. It's going to be a give to Allen, just able to get down to the line of scrimmage immediately. No game. Woodard in the neighborhood on that tackle.
I like LaQuinton Allen a lot. He does a lot. I mean, LaQuinton does everything. He catches the ball. He's a really good pass protector, and they're trying to get him the ball more in the run game to sort of keep that part of their offense intact so McCord doesn't have as much pressure on him. Some zone blitz looks early. Maybe Powell blitzed twice in this first series.
There he goes out to the slot. We know that he likes to be a pass catcher as well. McCord going deep, finds his man caught for a first down and 20 more. That's Trevor Pena. That was right there for the reception.
Pena's kind of their slot guy, and that's where he is.
Mike, do you want to play NCAA?
And that's what
Sure.
McCord saw. He runs right by Catalan. Well-delivered ball, and Pena is their slot